Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Maryland PTAC webinar. Glad you could join us today. I'm your host, Yasmin Razak, and I am the Marketing and Training Coordinator here at the PTAC. Today, the webinar topic is Women Succeeding in Government Contracting. In case you didn't know, October is National Women's Small Business Month, and we are celebrating women in government contracting today. So excited for you to hear from our guests. The federal government's goal is to award 5% of all federal contracts to women-owned businesses. So today we're going to hear from organizations that support women-owned businesses about how they can get a piece of the pie, which I know you definitely want to hear about. And also we'll have a conversation with some very successful PTAC clients who will be sharing their stories, experiences, and advice on how to become successful in the government contracting world. Okay, today's speakers are Diedra Henry-Spires, who's a senior advisor for COVID programs at the Office of Administrator at SBA. We will also hear from Anne Frank, who is the director of the Baltimore Metro Women's Business Center based out of Morgan State University. And then we will have a panel of PTAC clients talking about their experiences in the GovCon world. There'll be Brenda Doles, who is the president of Healthcare Resolution Services, Eno Nzizi, who is the CEO of Numa Management Associates, and Sonia Hobson, who is the CEO of Sage Services Group, LLC. So we are excited to hear from them. A little bit of housekeeping before we get started. You can type out your questions for our guests in the chat box. We're also offering live transcription. So if you'd like me to turn this feature on, please request it in the chat box. A copy of the presentations will be emailed to you as soon as the event is over. And I do have to let you know that this webinar is being recorded and will be available on replay on the PTAC website and YouTube channel. For those of you who are not familiar with the Maryland PTAC, it's our mission to help businesses that are registered in the state of Maryland to fully compete in federal, state, and local government procurement processes. We offer individualized counseling and group training, and our services are no cost to you and are confidential. The only requirements we ask is that your business is registered in Maryland and is in good standing. So if you think that you are ready for government contracting and you want some good free counseling, please sign up at our website to become a client. That's mdptac.org, and we will assign a counselor to work with you. Okay, so I'm excited to introduce our very first speaker. Diedra Henry-Spires is a senior advisor for COVID programs at the Office of the Administrator at SBA. She is a top advocacy and policy strategist, and she is credited as one of the architects of the Affordable Care Act. Diedra will be sharing some of the opportunities and resources available to support women-owned businesses in the SBA. Good morning, Diedra. How are you today?
Good morning, Yasmin. I'm so excited to be here. I am doing very well today. I hope all of your guests are doing well as well. It's a great day to talk about women-owned small business in Maryland. May I take it from here, Yasmin?
Absolutely. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. So a couple of things. Thank you for the warm introduction, Yasmin. I started my career in the Office on Women's Health at the Department of Health and Human Services over in the Washington, D.C. area on Independence Avenue, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. And I started really with a focus on women and a focus on preventing violence against women. And there are often economic reverberations to domestic violence and violence against women. And that really anchored my entire career in looking at communities through the lens of what happens when women flourish. When women flourish, communities flourish. When women are healthy, their families are healthy. When women are doing well in business, business is being done well. So I'm really, really excited to be here. Thanks to all my good friends. I see Tara just joined, so I'm excited that she is here as well. Okay. Let's get into it a little bit. What is the SBA doing about women-owned small businesses and federal contracting? As Yasmin said, my title is Senior Advisor for COVID Programs, but I've entered into the space of other duties as assigned in my job description. We all know about that. And so I serve as a senior advisor to the administrator on all things that intersect with my background and ways in which I can help her be more effective in communities across the United States. The community of women-owned small businesses is near and dear to my heart. Okay. Let's go to our first slide, Yasmin. Thank you for turning slides for me. I appreciate you this morning. WASB. So we're in the DC metro area. You already know we are in acronym soup, and we love to throw around acronyms, but we're gonna just break that down. Some of you already know what WASB means. It's a women-owned small business. EDWASB is an economically disadvantaged women-owned small business. WASBs whose owner and or manager claims economic disadvantage. And so it's a subset of WASBs. They are WASBs, but then they are smaller groups. So I would say it's almost like a 70-30 split. Next slide, please. So we want to, at the SBA, we've made this commitment, and the federal government and Biden-Harris has made a commitment to increasing and improving the number of WASB prime contracting. That's women-owned small business prime contracting. That's what this slide we're about to get into shows, where we are, how we're doing, and what we need to do better. But what I want you to know is that when we look at federal contracting for small businesses overall, the federal government is doing very well. We achieved about 5.19% of federal contracts going to small businesses. That's $26 billion and creates and equates to about 134,000 jobs created. We've surpassed our goal for the second time in the past 7 years, and we're doing well. However, prime contracts awarded to WASB prime contractors are about 15,000, 21% of the total small business vendors. What this slide is showing you is what has been our goal since about 2015. You'll see it in that dark blue or black line. That's been the goal. That's where we should be. Some years we exceed that. In our small business prime contracting. However, the blue line is where we're doing, how we're doing with our WASB prime contracting. And you can see sometimes we exceed the goal, like in 2019, but in other years we start falling under the goal as a federal government. And we're committed, that lighter, brighter blue line at about 4.63% right now, when we should be at 5%, to bringing that all the way up, back up to 5%. So my point on this slide is that there is work to do in the WASB space. While we're doing well overall in small business contracting, there's work to do with our women contractors. Next slide, please. Okay. However, it's not a monolithic story. There are places where we're doing really good work. So the Office of Personnel Management is exceeding the goal, 37.91% going to women-owned small businesses for prime contracting. The SBA is at 20.99%, so about 21%. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission is also exceeding the goal, as is the Department of Labor and the Department of Interior. So our work is to get the rest of the federal workforce where we are and get them to understand the value in women-owned small businesses and to make sure that they think about ways, and we help them think of ways to target to this particular population. There are over 13,000 women-owned small business prime contractors, as I've said before, and we're trying to get up to 5% from the 4.63%. Next slide, please. So, women-owned small business federal contracting program initiatives. Let's just review just a couple of the changes we've made to try to get from 4.63% up to 5%. We're continuing to increase the pool of program participants by 57% increase since FY21. So that slide where it showed that mountaintop experience and then a sharp dip, that was in 2021. So since that time, we're like, okay, time to put the shoulder to the wheel. Biden-Harris can do better than that. We've got the controls now. Let's pull the levers to make things work for our women-owned small businesses. We've got a new list of eligible NAICS. Oh my gosh, we're bringing more people into the pool and eligible businesses for this sort of WASB opportunity. There's a 70% increase in eligible industries, which will expand contract opportunities for certified women-owned businesses. We went from 444 NAICS to now 759. That is a really big deal. So there's more people in the pool. Improving the customer experience of WASB federal contracting. This is something we're looking at across the board. We know that SBA was a sleepy little agency, and then COVID happened. I worked down the street from the SBA at HHS, and we looked down the street and said, oh, what a nice little agency. And then COVID happened, and all of a sudden, the center of the universe was at SBA. Do you remember, your business owners, you remember what it was like for the coffee shops to be boarded up, businesses to be boarded up, the struggle of those years, and we're still in it and moving out now into a place of resiliency and more work for our small businesses. But once we realized that it wasn't just lip service to say that small businesses are the engine of our economy, but in fact, the truth, there was a lot more focus on the SBA, and in the Biden-Harris administration, we're really focusing on how our customers, our contractors, our grantees are being treated, and what our program certification process looks like. So we've tried to improve the way that we do it through technological improvements, and you'll hear more about that later. Reviewing program regulations to identify changes that would reduce the burden. We are in the midst of that right now. We are constantly justifying regulatory change to our other stakeholders and other federal partners. And also working, Good. I'm sorry, I can't help it. I start reading the chat because it becomes a more interactive experience for me. Increasing program utilization with federal buying activities with outreach. So making sure now people know when there is an opportunity and can seize the moment. And then increasing resources to help firms seeking to participate in the WASB program. And I know we have at least one wonderful speaker in April Ryan from our Women's Business Center in Baltimore. I can't wait for you to hear from her. Our resource, like the PTAC and other resources, are there to help you access the opportunities at the SBA. Next slide, please. Okay. So we have about 6,566 program participants. And the point of this slide is just to show you where women are. You already know, but let's just put some data to it, that we have NAICS that go across the gamut. WASBs are in blue, ED WASB is in red, and in those we have NAICS that are in administrative management and general management consulting, custom computer programming services, engineering, computer systems design, professional and management training, development training, commercial and institutional, building construction, yes, ladies, and other computer-related services. These are our most popular, our top NAICS that we see participating in the WASB program. And so I just wanted to let you know, women are everywhere. We're doing all kinds of work, and we want to encourage folks to keep that work going. Next slide, please. So there are a couple of unique aspects of the WASB program. And because I am being a bit interactive this morning, I did see, I'm not reading them all, and I only have maybe 5 to 10 more minutes with you, but I do want to talk about what I saw someone say about they applied and haven't heard back yet. We have about a 90-day backlog, in all honesty. And once we get to your application, it takes us about 32 days to complete those applications for certification. So it is taking some time. Now, are we okay with that 90-day backlog? Absolutely not. And what I can tell you is I've run programs in the COVID programs, like the Shuttered Venues and Operators grants, where we had tremendous backlogs. In COVID Idle, we were backlogged by about 650,000 tax forms, and we had to work with the IRS to process that. When the Biden-Harris team got COVID Idle, that's what it was looking like. We did a lot of innovation to work those processes and work down those backlogs. Everything that we've done in another program, that learning shouldn't stay in that program. And so one of the things in preparing to talk to you today that I've been thinking about is how do we bring those learnings and running down backlogs? Because 90 days, we can handle that. We can cut that down and bring some of that learning to this program. So do know I'll be going back home and figuring out how we cut that backlog down and get you processed within a month, which feels relatively reasonable. 3 months, 4 months, not so much. So I'll be working on that. Many NAICS codes are now authorized for use under the WASB contracting program, and you can go to sba.gov WASB ready to find that out. WASBs and ED WASBs must be certified through beta certify SBA.gov in order to be eligible to compete on set-aside and sole source contracts. However, there are some programs in which we offer some reciprocity if you're CVE certified, 8A certified, and then also if you use one of our other technical certifiers that are, and I'll talk about them in a little bit. Next slide. I think before I moved on, I should have let you know just a couple of things. That, what is the benefit of being a WASB, being certified as a WASB? I should have talked about that for a second. It does allow federal contracting programs and officers to set aside contracts for WASBs, especially, and that also includes economically disadvantaged women-owned small businesses. The federal government has specified our annual prime contracting goals, and so we use this to make that goal. And we can also sole source contracts under specific thresholds for this community. So there is a benefit. There's a smaller pool of competition. There's the ability to have some contracts. If they're clear, only a women-owned small business can do it. Sole source to our certified women-owned small businesses. Membership does have privileges. So, there's a wait for certification. Why would I go through this? It does have its privileges. All WASBs seeking to participate in the federal contract program must apply through our free online platform, and this is what I was talking about before, you can go through a third-party entity, and they cost, but I will give you the list of third-party entities you can go through. SBA will accept certification from current and active 8A or CVE certified firms. Now, do you have to be certified to say on FAM that you're a women-owned small business? Absolutely not. Women-owned small businesses that are not certified for SBA's WASB federal contracting program may continue to identify as a women-owned small business in SAM and have their awards outside of WASB count towards agency goals for women-owned small businesses. So it doesn't change your identity, it just gives you a different set of opportunities. Next slide, please. So I told you about third-party certification. Here are the third-party certifiers that you can obtain certification from. And it's a short list, but they do a good work. One is the El Paso Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the National Women's Business Owners Corporation, U.S. Women's Chamber of Commerce, and the Women's Business Enterprise National Council. That is our list of third-party certifiers if you'd be interested in using those. Next slide, please. Okay. What is WASB Ready? We say it all the time that we want people to get WASB Ready. And what does that mean? It gives you the opportunity to partner on programs like Challenge Her. There are opportunities also to participate in countrywide events and to expand partnerships with stakeholders, share updates on social media, and also we conduct informational webinars from our WASB Ready initiative. So programs like Challenge Her are critical for leveling the playing field in federal marketplace by investing in and empowering women-owned firms, connecting federal buyers directly with women entrepreneurs via matchmaking, and providing continued advocacy on behalf of WASBs in every sector of the economy and every corner of the nation. One example of this is some of the work we're doing with the Department of Transportation. And we really want to lean in on the next phase in our work with Secretary Buttigieg. Between Secretary Buttigieg and Administrator Guzman, they have worked together to figure out ways to share information on surety bonding, so that there's reciprocity in the small business surety bond program for folks who are insured there to be able to be contractors and take advantage of some of the infrastructure opportunities happening at the Department of Transportation, as well as our network of small business investors, SBICs, investment corporations, that are angel investors that do work providing access to capital for small business owners. We really want to look now at how we focus on our women-owned small businesses and their capital needs through our partnership with DOT. We know there is a lot of infrastructure money on the table, and we saw earlier that one of our top NAICS codes is in contracting. So we want to, in construction contracting. So we want to make sure that you're at the table in the work that the Department of Transportation is doing in the billions of dollars. Next slide, please. This slide is just to let you know that you do have to pay attention to what industry you're in, and that not all NAICS codes are eligible under WASB. So we do have lists that are available of what the NAICS codes are that are available under WASB, and it can be found at sba.gov/WASB. I'm going a little faster now because I want to take a couple questions. Next slide, please. Let's see. Is this the same one? No. Yeah, I think we can go on. Thanks. Okay. How do you find us? How do you find us? And how do we find you? You know that we will review a dynamic small business search is something that you can do. You can use our site to see if you're pending or if you're certified. We encourage you to do that to know where you are. Some of your resource partners can help you through that process at the PTAC, at our women's business centers. They can help you figure out where you are in the process and how to make sure that you're moving. the SBA has a lot of work that it does around joint ventures. We call that JV. We will only review and approve 8A joint ventures. All other joint ventures must adhere to SBA regulation that can only be challenged via a protest mechanism. So if you are a joint venture and you're in our pool, we will work with you. However, there are some folks that can look and say, wait a minute, I want to challenge that. I want to see if they really do qualify for this business. So what I want to tell you to do is, as you work together, joint venturing is sometimes a little complicated, and I want you to use our resources to make sure that you're on the right side with your ventures. We're here for you, and to make sure that you're able to get the help that you need to do the work that you're capable of doing. How do you consider? Oh, wonderful. I see the interest in receiving counseling. You will hear more about that as today's webinar goes forward. The next slide, please. This is just reminding you to go to beta certified. If you just go to sba.gov and go to WASB, you will figure out how to get certified. Let's go to the next slide, sorry. I don't want to go that deep into joint ventures. So you must go to beta.certify.sba.gov. That was part of some of the technological improvements. We're trying to condense everything to one place. Beta.certify.sba.gov. All firms seeking to participate in the WASB federal contract program must be certified. The benefit is set-asides and sole sourcing. You cannot have access to them unless you are certified. And like I said, dynamic small business search displays exactly where you are in the program. The distinction between WASB and ED WASB is that a WASB is a women-owned small business and economically disadvantaged, and there are definitions. Go to sba.gov WASB, and you will be able to see some of what qualifies you as economically disadvantaged. I work a lot with our friends at Commerce and the Minority Business Development Agency, and we are looking at this sort of idea of disadvantaged business entities and economically disadvantaged WASBs, and you're not disadvantaged, you are deserving. And so we may want to be changing the meaning of that D. We find all our economically deserving women-owned small businesses need to be supported. Okay. Yasmin, are you coming back on by voice to do some questions? It has been my joy and pleasure to be with you this morning. I do want to take just a couple of questions. I have like 2 minutes, and I'm sorry I went long. I probably did a little more detail than was advisable for this morning.
That's fine.
But hopefully you'll have me back and we can have a more dynamic discussion back and forth.
Most definitely. Thank you so much for taking time out. I know that you are incredibly busy, so we do appreciate it. But yes, we do have a couple of questions if we can get those answered, because you already answered one of them, which was...
Did I? Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it was, are there any advantages to certifiers and economically disadvantaged woman-owned business versus a woman-owned small business? And I believe you already answered that. Okay. So the next question is, we are currently receiving at the PTAC a lot of calls about challenges with SBA's certification portal for WOSB certification. Can you elaborate if SBA plans on adding real names and phone numbers to reach out to when there are questions? Right now, the only way people can enter their information to get emails is with a no reply to this email notification.
Yeah, no. So we're taking our commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion very, 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 very seriously. And part of that is developing strategic plans. All this comes into, all of this feeds into the way we do customer service and the way that you're able to interact with us. I have heard that there have been difficulties in accessing the answers that you need. So we have to start expanding our ability to answer your questions in one, real time. Two, like I said, looking to other programs and the fixes that we've used in those programs to be more responsive. One of the things that I noticed in our inability to give you a name or someone to connect with on a personal level, which is what customer service is all about, is that in other programs, we have been able to say, look, can we look at a way to divide and conquer, to give some of our grants managers some tools to say, this pool of people are the people that you will work with, that you will serve, and that they will have a name or a person to reach out to. So there are examples at the SBA where we have already done that. And so we're going to have to look at ways in which we can bring some of those innovations into this program. It may mean hiring up. It may require a ramp up period, but there are other parts of the agencies where we've used technology and human capacity and capability to do this work. One of the things I want you to be sure of is that there are human beings at the SBA who take the work very, very seriously. They think it is part of the equity and diversity agenda that we have, that everyone be able to reach someone and get their questions answered, and that when you are in a deserving and maybe disadvantaged space, you don't have a lot of time. No small business owner has a lot of time to fool around with a cumbersome process. It is up to the SBA to streamline these processes, make them much more user-friendly, and have a human-to-human interaction. So we're working on it. We understand it, we see it, and we're trying to be as innovative as possible. You know, maybe the next time I'm back, we can dig into that a little more, but do know I'm taking that as homework and as a problem solving away from this conversation, because even looking in the chat, I'm like, it's just unacceptable, and I think we can do better.
Oh, well, thank you. That's a little bit reassuring. So one more question, because I know you do have to rush off, and I just want to assure everybody in the chat. We see your questions. We're not ignoring you. We're going to forward them to Diedra and her team, and I will get answers and forward them back and email them out to all of you. So please
let me say two things, and then I want you to hear from the other wonderful people. One, thank you for having me, but two, we've got a team of people at the government contracting and business development office. I'm taking every single one of these questions back to that fabulous team. I'm also taking it back to our team at the Office of Women's Business Ownership. So I'm going to get two teams on this. In terms of the technological work, this is something that I'll raise at the level of the administrator. I have the joy of talking to her every day, and I'm going to let her know what I heard in this conversation and see what we can do to kind of get boots on the ground and people working through this process. I really thank you for everything that you do. I want you to stay encouraged. The state of Maryland, this area, we need you. The nation needs you. You are the engine of our economy. God bless, and you're in the best hands with Miss Anne Frank. I'm gone.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Diedra. Really appreciate it. And I know that, as I said, we were so privileged to be able to get you on board. You're very, very busy, and for taking time out today. It's wonderful for our clients and for the audience members. And I will be, as I said, we will be sending the questions out to you soon. So thank you so much. So now we are going to move on to our next speaker, and that is Anne Frank. So Anne, if you would like to get ready to share your screen, I would appreciate it.
Yes,
and a little bit about Anne. Oh, right. Let me stop sharing so that you can do that. Wonderful. Hi, Anne. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. Let me
Wonderful.
see.
Well, while you're setting up, I'll do a little intro. So Anne Frank is a director of the Baltimore Metro Women's Business Center over at Morgan State University. In this role, she creates programming and directs and manages operations for the benefit of women entrepreneurs to start, maintain, and prosper for economic growth and sustainability. And Anne is also a former deputy director of the Maryland PTAC. So it's lovely to see you again, Anne. Welcome.
Why, thank you, thank you. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, we can see you and hear you fine. So the floor is yours.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, good morning to everyone. I start this presentation with our logo, our animated squiggly line logo, which I always like to give credit to the intern student who created that for us. Because of course, Morgan is a institution of academics, and this is what they learned, at Morgan. And then they learned more interning with us, and now are a business owner themselves. So I also am going to introduce in a moment my co-presenter, Ms. Sonia Hobson, and you're going to hear from her a little later, and you're going to really want to hear from her because she is going to share with you how she specifically supports our center in terms of helping women to become certified through the various certifications for government contracting. So before we go there, I'd like to just, again, welcome you. I am Anne Frank. We at the Women's Business Center at Morgan are a direct service provider to SBA. We service various counties around the state of Maryland, most counties excluding Anne Arundel, but don't worry because one of our sister agencies, our sister WBCs does service Anne Arundel County. So, and Annapolis, I should say. So, and I also want to say thank you, Diedra. Awesome job. I don't have to say all those things that you mentioned because our attendees heard it straight from SBA. We're sort of the boots on the ground for SBA, and we share a lot of the same things that Diedra shared this morning. So again, we are a direct provider of SBA. We're in Maryland. We're at the lovely campus of Morgan State. We are in the Earl Graves School of Business, and we, for the most part, do a lot of our counseling online. However, if you want to, see your counselor or mentor face-to-face, you make an appointment, and we'll be sure to make sure that someone is either in our office or you can visit them at their place of business as well. But just to let you know where our office is Earl Graves School of Business, and make an appointment when you want to come see us. All right. Our job really is to encourage small businesses in ingenuity, do business advisement, training, and mentorship. I want to take a pause really quickly. You might hear a lot behind me. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. I want to bring you greetings since it is Women's Small Business Month in October. Greetings from an organization called The Third. It's in Columbia, Maryland. Some of you may know about it, but one of our women entrepreneurs transformed this space over by the lake, if you're familiar with Columbia, Maryland, into a wonderful, wonderful space, offline, online business support center. And I'm here today at their grand opening in one of their office suites to share with you. So I just want to give them a shout out because Laura Bacon is an awesome woman entrepreneur and one of our mentors as well. So moving on from there. So as a direct service provider of the SBA, we again do online training. We have on-demand training. We have leadership programs for women. We have a lot of networking programs for women as well. I'm going to skip through all of this just to tell you that women business ownership is on the rise, has been on the rise for years. We are doing it, and we're doing it well. And, because for so long, women entrepreneurs had not been invited to the table, hadn't had the resources needed to, support them for various reasons. But now SBA and other resource agencies and such have seen fit to make sure that there are resources out there for you specifically, because women do business different. I mean, we all know that. We don't do business the way men do business. And so sometimes we need a different level of support. I jokingly shared this at a event that I spoke at the other day. You know, at least for our Women's Business Center, we were just real. And sometimes if we want to cry, we cry. And we cry on each other's shoulder. And we don't have any problems with that. Now, would we be doing that with our male counterparts? No. Do male counterparts do that with each other? No. And they could. I'm not saying they could, but I'm just saying, you know, when women support women, we get to let our hair down. We get to, you know, really share truths and support each other in that. And so that's one of the reasons I believe that SBA and other organizations make sure that women have resources that help them in their different specific needs. So I want to concentrate on these two or flyers, I should say. We every month have a representative from SBA to talk about different SBA resources, services, you know, programs that they offer. Diedra talked about WASB. We actually have had maybe 3 times already a representative from SBA, one of her counterparts, come on and talk about, you know, how to become WASB certified. SBA has so many other programs, hub zone programs. You know, they have a lending program. They have a number of things. And so every month, usually I think it's the first Thursday of the month is when SBA comes on and talks to us specifically about those services. And then this slide really quickly, I want to share with you that you'd be very interested in if you want to do government contracting, is we have a program where we have specialists actually handhold you through the process. Like Diedra was talking about WASB, there's so many different, we call it alphabet soup, certifications out there. Of course, WASB is for women, but then you have the MDEs and you have the DBEs and SBRs and just alphabet soup. We have specialists, naming Sonia Hobson and others, that will handhold you through that process, because you can do it by yourself, but if you make an error and have to resubmit, that could take you so much more time. I think it would take 3 or 4 months. You just have to start the whole process over with the various agencies that do these certifications. So we're in it to help you to do it right the first time if you can, and to explain, the language, and like I said, handhold you. Some of our specialists will actually, as you're sitting on the computer filling it out, they'll help you fill it out and understand exactly what's being asked of you. So we're going to have an actual orientation coming up on November the 10th at 12 o'clock. So, when you go to our website, you can register for that particular program. So very quickly, I'm going to go through some other programs and things that we do at the center, and then I'm going to leave a few more minutes for Sonia to talk about our certification program, cohort program, and then you'll be hearing from her later on in today's program. Okay, so we have a 7-track mentorship program. Its namesake is the Barbara A. Robinson Mentoring Program, because Barbara A. Robinson, the retired senator for Baltimore, was very instrumental and still is. She's 84 years old, still doing the daggone thing, still involved in politics at a lower level, but getting her doctorate at Morgan State University, all of that. But so she's our namesake, and it's a 7-track mentorship program. So we believe there's 7 fundamentals of business development. And what happens is when you sign up with our program, we have you do an action plan, and then we send and set you up with up to 7 different mentors that have acumen in those areas. So you'll sit with someone for business planning, finances, marketing, mindset, procurement, like business, operations. So you would be meeting well-to-do business owners who's been there, done that, tried and true. But here's the deal. You meet with these mentors for the specific track two times. You go to them with your action plan. They look at your action plan. They give you advice and give you homework to do according to your action plan. You go and you do your work in your own time. It might take you a month. It might take you 2 months. It might take you, it might take you 2 days, but you do your homework. Then you come back to that particular mentor, you talk about it, and then you go on to the next mentor. So it's a 7-track, 2-visit mentorship program. And it's just phenomenal. So that's one of the things that we actually do. We have a number of discussion panels. These two are my favorite. Bail is a panel wherein the professionals that bail you out of trouble, you need to get to know these professionals before you get there. You need to develop relationships with bankers, accountants, insurance, and a lawyer. And so we have a panel of those professionals that come on and kind of talk to you about what's important for you to know in, doing business. And then we also have a resource panel. There are a lot of resources out there. I mean, and ones that you wouldn't even think would be doing business development. AARP, the Better Business, of course, the Better Business Bureau. We have SDAT that will be coming on. We had Enoch Pratt Library that has so many business resources and a number of other ones. So you have to keep an eye on our website for those services. I'm gonna skip through a lot of these. We have an import-export program. We're gonna be taking a tour through the port. And then I left this slide on the left. It was our COVID response slide, virtual summit. And this slide is one that's near and dear to me as well in terms of the services, because we actually paid for various services for our clients. We paid for websites, we paid for accounting services, we paid for procurement services. Now that one, that one is not an ongoing service, right? I only can provide that service when we get funding for it. So, if you know any sponsors or can direct me to any funding, that's where we get the funding for, so that we can turn around and spend it on you, the businesses. And then I will say this last slide I'll mention is to the right. So I also should say we are at Morgan State University. We are in the Department of EDAC, the Entrepreneurial Development and Assistance Center, and they have a number of programs that they provide for business entrepreneurs as well. So on the left, we have a veterans program, and where we do a veterans boot camp sort of thing, and help veterans and those who are women who are seeking government contracting as well. We send you through a boot camp. And then on the right, we have, this is our kind of girls club type of leadership program. To be honest with you, and I know this is being taped, but I'm gonna say it anyway. This is our big girl panty club. Sometimes you got to put on your big girl panties and get stuff done. So it is really the bold, game-changing, principled, and courageous. That's the formal name, but it is a club where we women support each other. We vent to each other, and then we come up with solutions to things that we know, trouble us. For example, women sometimes, let's say you might be having, staffing issues and it's driving you crazy, or grant issues, or, you can't find the proper NAICS club code or whatever it is. We have in our little club, we support each other. You come in, you share what your issues are, and then you have other women to kind of share what the solutions are. So with that said, I'm going to come back to this slide unless Sonia has slides that she wants to share. And I'm going to introduce you to our fabulous Sonia Hobson. I love her as the director of the center. She is a jewel, and don't nobody try to steal her from the center. I won't happen. I'm going to come search you down and get you. But let me introduce Sonia. She's got her certifications and she is very skilled in helping other people get to the next level with theirs as well. So I hand it over to you, Sonia.
I mean, with all the great information earlier from Diedra and then from Ann, I don't have much to say other than this Baltimore Metropolitan Women's Business Center is awesome. And Ann showed you, she just scratched the surface of the things that are there. And I'm proud and blessed and honored to be able to support her on the Women-Owned Small Business Certification process. And through Morgan State, the Women's Business Center, and Truist, myself and Mary Lee Kolick has also been able to help a lot of women-owned businesses get certified. And I looked at Carlicia's post here in the chat box, and she said she has her SBR, her MBE, SBE, all of those other letters and alphabet soup. And those things are not easy to obtain, nor are they easy to maintain. But most importantly, once you get them, we like to help our women-owned businesses establish pipelines. So if you're in the government space, the words I'm using are going to make sense. You need to understand capture. You need to understand business development. You need to understand how to manage your pipeline, how to target your customers. Sometimes we get something and we say, oh, we're going to sell it to everything. And I'm like, yeah, no, you're not. We're going to pick a couple of agencies that are buying what you have, and we're going to get you in so that you can go deep and then go wide. Because oftentimes when we go wide, we don't have a lot of extra resources. So we want to be very targeted with that. So we help women who, the program flyer tells you there, first of all, you got to be in good standing with the state of Maryland. If you don't have Maryland certs, or we actually were helping someone who wanted to get certified in Virginia because they had contacts over there. But you must be in good standing with whatever state that you're in. Must use some sort of accounting system. Can't stress this enough. Met a lot of wonderful women-owned businesses who wanted to grow and do well. But when I'm talking to them about having a profit and loss statement and their balance sheet and being able to understand where they are financially, if you don't get those numbers straight, the federal and state government process will eat you alive because you don't know how much to charge for your services. So we don't say that you have to have, QuickBooks or Sage or whatever some other system is, but you need to be able to understand how much money did I make, how much money did I spend, and how much money am I putting in the bank? And for those that don't have it, please still sign up and come to our workshop, because when you get a time with us, if we find that you're not in a certain place, we want to help you by tying you back into the other resources at the Women's Business Center to get you there. And once you get it done, then we bring you back into the fold and we work on you with your application. So we do just ask people to be able to commit to the time that's there. It's so exciting. Certification is only the door. What you do once you get past that door is where I find the most exciting value, and we want to help you get moving there. And that also then involves taking you back to the PTAC Center, getting PTAC involved because they have contacts and things that we don't. I can talk to you as not just as a counselor. I didn't just sleep at a Holiday Inn Express last night. My company has been in business for 12 years. We've been federal government contractors, prime and sub, ever since, and we're growing. Ann asked me, we are EDWOSB as well as all of the Maryland certs. We also MBE certified in Virginia, North Carolina, and Georgia. We partner with companies in Florida, Colorado, California. And we're in the process of getting our ISO 9001 because we deal in the aerospace arena. So we've got to be able to do that to continue to manufacture and do those types of things. So excited to be here. Put your information in the chat. I'm pretty sure Yasmin will share our information afterwards, but looking forward to working with someone. And again, pipeline questions, I can be able to help you as a practitioner, but of someone who's always doing it. And then definitely Yasmin and the PTAC team in whatever area you're in, geographical area. PTAC has been wonderful. Richard Payton was my initial PTAC counselor, and he gave me some good old swift kicks in the pants to get some stuff going. So I've just been blessed and honored to have already taken advantage of these resources and have the opportunity to share again. We're gonna make it happen.
Yay. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you. And before I close out completely for what we did, I want to give a shout out to, wait a minute, let me just go here. I want to give a shout out to Brenda Doles. You're going to hear from her coming up. Brenda Doles is the reason that I actually got into the small business entrepreneurial support arena. Years ago, she invited me to work with her and her team, and I got the bug. I left corporate America, and I've been here helping small businesses ever since. So shout out to Brenda. I can't wait to hear, what she is going to share with you. But I say that to say, I got the bug so much, I can't help but to help, entrepreneurs build themselves up so that they can be appreciated. It's not just about helping small business. It's about helping small business to be sustainable and to be profitable, to give back to our community. And so I just want to say the center was celebrated last Friday from the governor's office, and we received a number of citations, not a number, but a number of our clients received citations as well as the center. And that's what it's all about. This is one of the reasons why I do and we do what we do, so that we can help businesses be sustainable and give back to the community. So I give a shout out to Yasmin, to Sonia, to Brenda, and all the women, who at least helped me get to where I am to be able to help you. And that's what I'm going to say. So Yasmin, where are you? We'll transition.
Thank you so much, Anne, and thank you so much, Sonia, for jumping on that. I know you're going to be featured in the panel in a few minutes. And I also want to thank Anne again for taking time to do this. She's always very, as you can hear from her voice, she's always very enthusiastic. She's probably one of the greatest networkers I've ever met. She can work a room like nobody else can. And she brought a lot of great stuff to the PTAC while she worked with us a couple of years ago. We still miss her. And thank you again. So please do take advantage of the resources on offer over at her center. I put the link in the chat box. Go over there and take some time to browse and see how you can participate in the great things that are going on over there. So, right, I'm excited to get on to the next part of this amazing webinar, which is our speaker panel. And we have three wonderful guests lined up. They are not only incredibly successful women-owned government contracting businesses, but they are also PTAC clients as well. So it's lovely to be able to showcase what they've achieved and to hear their perspective on their journeys to where they are today. And hopefully it will be inspiration to you as well. Before we go on to that section, I am getting a lot of questions about how do I become a PTAC client? How do I get in touch with my counselor? It's really easy. You just log back into your PTAC account that you used to sign up for this class, and you can complete the application form. We just ask you a few questions about your business, and then we assign a counselor to work with you. All we ask is that you have a business registered in the state of Maryland and that you are in good standing. Once you meet that criteria, that's pretty much it. So we do hope that you will take advantage of that opportunity to work with a counselor. I do have to let you know that it's currently taking about 15 business days to assign a counselor to you. Like many other government-funded organizations, we are very small. We have a very small team, and we are offering procurement counseling for the entire state of Maryland. So obviously, just have to manage your expectations a little bit to be aware of that we will get to you. It might not be immediately, but we'll definitely get to you and assist you. Okay, all right. So I'm going to do a little introduction for each speaker, and then we'll get into the round table. And of course, if you have any questions for our speakers, please type them in the chat box. Okay, we are going to hear from Brenda Doles, and Brenda is the president of Healthcare Resolution Services. She's an experienced president with a demonstrated history of working in the healthcare industry as a provider and executive. She's directly responsible for directing and overseeing multi-million-dollar, multi-year contracts from the government and industry, ranging from $1 million to $980 million. So excited to hear from her and the healthcare industry perspective. We will also have Eno Nzizi, who is the CEO of Numa Management Associates. Eno is an experienced president with a history of working in a management consulting industry with 30 years of customer-facing experience. She started her business in 2019 and has already won 3 multiple award contracts. And one of them is including the New York statewide administrative services contract, which is valued at $100 million. It's a 5-year IDIQ. So the revenue for her company will be about 20 million a year. So that's amazing. We want to hear all about that. And of course, Sonia, who was just speaking, is the CEO of Sage Services Group, LLC. Sonia has grown from a solo entrepreneur to an enterprise with employees across the nation. She is a business owner and an engineer and has the heart of a teacher. They provide engineering support in aerospace arena, training and development services, and had a recent win as a subcontractor for NASA worth $3.5 million. They also have prime contracts with USDA and many subcontracts with other agencies such as NOAA, Department of Commerce, Department of State, among others. So wow, what an impressive group. So what I'm going to do is I have some questions that we'll be going through, and then we can get into some good conversation. So first of all, ladies on the panel, if you don't mind, if you'd like to, I know I've done the formal bio introduction, but if you'd like to introduce yourselves in your words and tell the audience a little bit about your business in government contracting world and how you got to that level of success. So if you could spend a couple of minutes each, that would be great. If we could start with Brenda.
Oh, sure. Good morning, everyone. And thank you for having me. And kudos to Anne Frank. It's so good to see you. Can't wait to hear all about what your little one is up to. So that's exciting. Anyway, I'm Brenda Doles, president of Healthcare Resolutions. We've been around for 25 years and we're located here in Columbia, Maryland. My husband and I started the business 25 years ago when I was home and pregnant on bed rest. My intention at the time was to work with a couple of physician group practices and help them with their coding and their billing and their documentation. But one opportunity led to another, and 3 years later, we moved into our first office. And here we are, like I said, 25 years later. We've had over 400 employees, and we've done business in all 50 states, including the US territories. And what we do exactly is health information management and health information technology services. And our customers are Defense Health Agency. We work with Army, Air Force, Navy, over 100 VAs across the country. We work with CDC, CMS, and some commercial customers include Cigna and United Healthcare and some others that date back 20 plus years. So we're excited, happy to be here, and hope that I can help and be a resource for others. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brenda. That was great. If we can hear from Eno next, please.
Hello, Yasmin, thank you so much for the invite. It's a pleasure to be here to share the experience that I've had so far. And my name is Eno Nzizi, and I'm the president and CEO of Numa Management Associates. At Yasmin read my bio. We're a management consulting firm with our niche is on staff augmentation. And we have competencies in project management, IT infrastructure, and also enterprise solution in terms of digitized cloud migration. How I started this business, I've always wanted to be a business owner. That's something that is in my family. And I've been in the professional world for many years. And I got to a point where I was just burned out working for somebody, and I needed to, I guess, pursue my dream to start my business so I can leave legacy for my children and my grandchildren. And that's how I started. So I came into the business full time in 2019. And few months later, we had that COVID when the whole world was shut down for a couple of years. But what we have during that COVID season, we were awarded a contract with the Baltimore County Public School Board of Education, an IDIQ contract as well, where we provide accounting services to the county. And also we just recently awarded a contract with New York State to provide administrative and healthcare services to all of New York State. It's a multiple award contract. And we're so excited and looking forward to this new venture in a different state. And also, we just also recently won a contract with a subcontractor from Newman Management perspective. We're a subcontractor with a team of mine, a partner of mine for Canada. So that also we're excited because it's international. So we're just looking forward to this expansion that we're seeing in this space, particularly with women-owned business.
Thank you for that introduction, Eno. On to you, Sonia.
Well, I didn't necessarily set out to be an entrepreneur. I did a favor for a friend. He wanted me to teach a resume writing class, and I went to teach it and found out it was at a detention center. So that was pretty shocking. And but we taught the class, but there were so many flaws in the way the system was set up. I talked to the person leading it and was like, there's something not quite right. And so he said, well, how would you fix it? And I mapped out a plan for how to fix it. And he wrote me a check. I was like, wait, you all pay people to do this? And we created a curriculum that helped career and college readiness and reentry for individuals that were incarcerated. And what was different is the fact that I'm an engineer by trade. I started off in nuclear power for 13 years, and then I went into aerospace, and I've been in there for now almost 17 years. But what we found out from that client and many more going forward is they like the way we think. Very systematic approach, very logical approach with repeatable results. And so we've been in business for 12 years. We do have about 60% of our business is in the engineering, so spacecraft design, launch support, mission support type environment. And then the other 40% is what I also love is the people part, where we help organizations with organizational design. How do you help improve your people, processes, and your products? And so we just apply the same principles from one side of the house over to the other. And it's been a great ride. We started off doing a lot of subcontracting work. Do not despise subcontracting work, because sometimes that can be really great. Let somebody else fight with the government over the details. You get in and deliver good work and get to know all the clients and find out where the pain points are. And so we are EDWOSB. I mentioned that earlier. We're on the GSA schedule, and we're in the process of doing our ISO 9000 quality management system certification. So it's been a great ride. I have a great team, and we just celebrated what we called our 10+2 anniversary a couple of weeks ago, where we didn't get to celebrate in 2020 because of COVID, which would have been our 10 years, but we did celebrate 12, and it's a blessing, and we thank God for it every day, and glad to be here.
Thank you so much for that, Sonia. Thank you to all of you for doing your introductions. It's fascinating to hear from all the different industries and what you've achieved. So kudos to you all. Okay, our first question, and you can answer in or jump in at in any order. How do you maintain your pipeline of opportunities?
Can I jump in?
Please
Okay,
do.
great. All right. First thing we do is, I would encourage you to do, is to access free procurement websites, such as sam.gov, Maryland eMarketplace, and every state and local municipality has these free resources that are available. You just need to go there and sign up. And then you can have those automated procurement notices sent to you every single day in your email box. So please take advantage of those free resources. Stay abreast, stay in tune with your industry and industry events. Know what's coming down the pike. A lot of times you can secure forecast of opportunities that are not just happening today, but forecasting what's going to happen or what's coming about next year or within the next 5 years. And I think that's most important. You want to stay ahead of the curve. Also, networking with friends, your colleagues, your competitors. Your competitors are your friends. You want to keep your enemies close. And I think there's a lot of, there's more than enough work to go around for everybody. You want to network, you want to stay close to your competitors. And, you know, sometimes you may find yourself teaming with your competitor where it makes sense. And then keep your, you know, your ear to the ground. You want to connect, network with your contracting officers and with your cores. You want to ask questions, and just be out there and make yourself available. That's what I would recommend.
Great tips. Any other information on that, or anything different from Enno or Sonia on how you keep the opportunities coming in, if you have a system or a process?
Yes, what I would like to add to that is, particularly with your current client, you want to maintain that relationship. You want to constantly keep in touch and see, even if they don't have a need at that particular time, they can refer you to another, you know, their colleagues, because they talk and they know their needs. So you want to stay in that space with them, talk with them all the time. And also what we have done, and I see it work here, particularly as a small business, we try to cut as much cost as possible. In terms of looking at other free procurement sites, we worked with one of the community college, Howard County Community College, to secure their intern to do a lot of work for us, particularly in the procurement space, to go into those procurement sites to look for opportunities for us. So that leaves me and frees me, you know, to do a lot of marketing and all of that. So if you can reach out to the community college close to you and get involved. And you can, these young kids, they are very hungry. They want the exposure, they want the experience, and they want that on their resume, and they will be committed in helping you.
Thank you. We already have questions coming in for the roundtable discussion. And the first one, again, anyone would like to tackle this one. How did you find prime contractors to team with? And can you explain your process on connecting with them? We do get this question a lot. Anybody like to weigh in on it?
I'll take a quick stab at that. I'm out here in Vegas for a conference, right? And it is the American Institute for Aerospace and Aeronautics. So you find your primes in your technical realm. I know a lot of people love to go to networking where there's a variety of people there, and those are great. But if you have an area, a niche area or a specialty area, you need to be also involved in what you call your trade groups, because they will tell you what's next, what's coming along the lines. And it's so much easier for us to meet with like a Boeing or a Northrop Grumman or someone here where we can talk some technical solutions and then start getting into the opportunity to partner either as a prime or a sub on any type of projects that are coming forward. So our people come to space conferences. We go to the Association for Talent Development. So if you're into training, management consulting, organizational development and design, go to your trade organizations, because that's where you're going to meet your primes and be able to have some meaty conversations. Whereas sometimes in generic networking, they get bombarded by so many people who may or may not match the service. You know the work, talk to your technical people.
Thanks for that, Sonia. And I noticed that Brenda's put in the chat box, go to where the primes are, such as trade shows, industry associations, and pre-bid meetings. And also SBA has a list of primes as well that are looking for subs. We do have a link to it on our website. When you go to our website and click resources, you will see a download at the top of the page. So that is useful information for you as well.
And Yasmin, if you don't mind, I'd like to add just this little point. What I would encourage is that register on all of those procurement sites. Register your business. For me, I they found me. I was like, how did you find me? She was like, I was looking for a project manager that would do quality work because she had had a project that she was working on before, and she got the project pulled from her because she didn't have that quality management in place. And there was, some communication gap between the contractor and the client. And so she just found me because I registered on Montgomery County portal. So that's what I want to also encourage you with everything else that is stated. Make sure you register on all of those because it works.
Thanks, Eno. And I'm putting a link in the chat box to our resources page on the website, and you will see several downloads there that will be very useful for you that outline industry days, OSDBU outreach events, procurement forecasts, government contracting guides, directory of prime contractors looking for subs. So do please take advantage and spend some time on the resources section of our website as well. Okay, our next question is, have you partnered with other businesses and how did it go? Obviously, we hear a lot about joint ventures, teaming, even working with primes. Can anybody share an experience, whether positive or negative, and how it worked out for you in the end?
Yasmin, I would strongly suggest, well, I encourage partnering always with small business and large business. If you're not partnering, it's not likely you're going to be successful in government contracting. You're going to have to team at some point with others. But before you team, make sure you do your homework on your teaming partner, get to know them, go out on a few dates before you jump into bed with them. Because once you jump into bed with them, you're going to be in bed with them for probably at least 5 years. Mm-hmm. You want to make sure you know who it is you're getting in bed with. Do a D&B check. Look at their credit history. You don't want to get into a partnership with a business that doesn't pay their bills on time or doesn't have adequate financial resources. So look beyond the sweet talk and do your homework and know who it is you're getting in bed with. That's my advice.
Thanks so much. That's a great analogy that I'm sure we can all relate to. Anybody else on the panel like to weigh in on that?
We had 100% positive experience in teaming up until recently. We had a contract that we had a company that we partnered with to go after some work for the state of Maryland. And we had worked with the company. We signed on the dotted line in the teaming agreement. They helped us in the proposal writing. We were priming, and it was a service we needed from them. And we wrote, teaming agreement was done, non-disclosures were done. They even wanted to come down and help us do our oral presentations, but we were limited on the people we could bring. And then we won. And so we're ready to sign the contracting agreement. So notice I used two totally different phrases. Team and me, we're going to go to the party together. And if we do, this is how we're going to handle ourselves. Mm-hmm. The subcontracting agreement is now we won. We got real numbers. This is what was really going to happen. And so we went to sign it. And the guy that we were working with says, oh, we had a policy change that now we can't give you our service for you to use with the state. We have to have our own contract with the state. And I'm like, wait, what? And so we escalated it all the way up through the top of their company. And I got in a meeting and I told them this. I said, guys, it ain't but 3 things that's going to go down. 1, we're going to go to this party together like we agreed. Or we both going to be standing outside the club wishing we could get in. Or I'm going to the party with somebody else. Mm-hmm. And because they were a much larger company, they were like, well, we don't know what, we can't do this. So this is the only way this is going to work. So we reached into our network, reached out to a couple of folks to see if there was someone else who could provide the service. And in 48 hours, we had inked a new deal, presented the issue to our customer, fully prepared to lose the contract if they didn't like who we were coming with. And the way we laid out our comparison of who we said we were going to bring compared to who we actually were going to bring, our customer was like, wow, you're giving us a better deal for even better money. So no, we're going to keep going with this. And I left them standing outside. So you have to be willing to walk away from some things and stand your ground. And I know many of us are Black and brown women that are on this call. Don't be intimidated because the people you're partnered with are not looking like you. And my prayer was, God, if it's for me, it's for me. If it's not, it's not. But I'm so glad you're teaching me at this level, a couple $100,000 project versus a couple of $1 million projects, because you showed me how to stand strong in what the agreement was. And do you know, like 3 months later, they had the nerve to call and was like, hey, do you all have any projects that we want to team on? Boo, boo, boo. I'm sorry, the number you have reached is no longer available to you. Dog bites you the first time is the dog fault. Dog bites you the second time is your fault.
Thank you for that, Sonia. And an add-on to that question from the audience is, did any of you take advantage of the SBA or DoD's mentor protege programs?
I did not. In hindsight, I wish I had of, but no, I did not. I went through the school of hard knocks, but in hindsight, I would definitely encourage others to seek out mentorship and don't try and reinvent the wheel. There's nothing here that we're doing is new. Take advantage of these free resources that are available to you.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so something we don't really offer advice on at the PTAC is to do with funding your business. We leave that to our sister organization, the SBDC. However, I thought it was important to have a question related to that here, because that is a huge hurdle for most businesses starting out in government contracting. So would anybody like to talk a little bit about how they manage to fund their projects? What is that sigh?
It's a sore subject, particularly for folks of color and trying to secure adequate financing. Personally, in the beginning, we scraped funding up from our own resources. I've scraped quarters out of the sofa to buy gas to put in my car. I borrowed money from friends, family to keep things going. But once you have a government contract in hand, you can get financing. It may not be the traditional line of credit, but you can, for example, secure financing with factoring organizations where you are selling your receivables. You're going to pay through the nose in the beginning, but sometimes that's what you got to do just to get yourself started and build up to that traditional line of credit. But if you have a government contract in hand, you can get financing.
Okay, great. Well, nobody seemed too excited to talk about that. So
I can share my experience,
okay.
Yasmin. Just like I think it was Brenda that spoke. Yeah, I scraped from everywhere, had problem buying gas, paying bills and all of that.
Yep.
Borrowing money from friends, family. But then this is what I've heard, or this is what I heard during that COVID period. They had all these webinar conferences and everything online, which was very, very rewarding. And I kept hearing develop a relationship, have a relationship with your banker. I was like, how am I going to do this? I'm still trying to work on my credit and this and yada yada. But then I started developing that relationship little by little. You just go to the bank and make a deposit here and stop by and just talk to the branch manager here and there. And so I built this relationship with the branch manager that whenever we have payroll coming through, or even the rent check, the office rent check, and there's not enough fund in the account, they go ahead and pay it because we have that agreement, knowing that that money will be covered. So what I want to encourage for small business, if you have that financial challenge, you want to make sure you have a relationship with your bank. Be transparent, let them know your situation, where you are, share your contract with them so that they'll know there's money coming, there's an invoice, you have a current invoice, and they'll be able to work with you. For the New York State, which is a contract we just got awarded, as a matter of fact, yesterday was the first day it became effective. We're looking at $250 $1,000 every 3 months. And it's big. So what we have done is to acquire factory funding, and what I keep hearing about them is paying for your sin, because of course you lose a certain percentage of your check or of your payment to them, but you just keep building on your resources, on your invoices, and just don't spend your profit. Don't spend your money because you see money coming in. Make sure you're saving so you are able to sustain your payroll or any other business expenses that you may have.
Thank you, and wise words. And I see that Brenda also added in the chat to request 15-day billing. This is allowed for SBs, but you must ask, as
Yes.
it will help with your cash flow. So thank you for pointing that out. Okay,
Yasmin, can I just add something real quick to that?
Yeah, please do.
It's easy for us to we want to walk into the large banks because they're conveniently located, but talk to some of your credit unions, your smaller banks. You might be starting off, and the first bank I went to, they gave me a $10,000 line of credit because I was a Prince George's County resident with the business. And so $10,000 might not sound like a lot, but it's good when you got small contracts and you're getting started, and they call and they check on you, and that gives you a chance to establish that credit aspect. And ladies, if I could just recommend, if you haven't read it, please read this book called Profit First. And they also have one called Profit First for MBEs. And so buy that one, buy both of them at the same time, but read the Profit First book so you understand the principles and then be able to do it. Because like I said, we're 12 years old. I read that book on the airplane and I was like, oh my gosh. So everybody thought something was wrong with me on the plane, but we do revenue minus expenses equal profits.
Right.
This book is telling you, do your revenue, pay yourself and your profits and your taxes first, and then live on your expenses. Because I look at has this large contract that came in. If she didn't already have some money stockpiled somewhere, she couldn't even have entertained the thought of going after it. So you got to learn how to build up that nest egg. Don't go out here and buy that Benz. Don't go buy that McMansion. If you've been eating at Wendy's with a $5 biggie bag, keep doing that. Just because your contracts grow, let's not head off to McCormick and Schmidt and eat. Learn how to live on a smaller budget so that when the contracts come in, you have stockpiled a little, squirreled away money, because all of us have struggled. I left to go on a trip with one of my contracts. I had no money in the bank, and I had taken movie gift cards because I was going to sleep in the airport, take a quick Uber to a movie theater and buy food so I could be there to do the work because I wasn't going to get paid until I got back. God made provision through some hotel points I'd forgotten about. Somebody paid me so I could at least not sleep in the airport, but if I had to, sleep in a rental car. Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. And I was like, I never want to go back there. I want to make sure that from now on, I don't eat my seed. Your profit is your seed for your next level of growth. We've been there, done that. We just don't want you all, if you can avoid it, but just be smart. Get your profits and everything out there first. And then we will go ahead on. Then you can go ahead on and just keep those expenses small.
Thank you, ladies, for that. We could talk all day about financing for your business, but unfortunately we don't have the time, but I do appreciate your input, and the way you guys all have so much personality is making this amazing for me. I don't know about the rest of the audience, but I think they're enjoying it too. So thank you so much for bringing some lightheartedness and humor to it, because it is lonely being a business owner and trying to survive out there. So I do appreciate your attitude that you're bringing here. So we do have a question in the chat box, which was connected. I think it was Eno's contract, $100 million deal. Was that federal government? I believe you said it was New York State. Was that right?
Yes, that's correct. That's New York State.
Okay. And then for when any of you are contracting with the state of Maryland, how do you go about doing it? Do you target specific departments, or do you go directly to the agencies, OSDBU, or do you just look at a forecast opportunity list? Could any of you, or could each of you just tell us a little bit about how you do that?
Well, I can start, Yasmin. We're registered in EMA, and that's where we get the opportunity, particularly with any opportunity in line with our core competency. That's how we got a contract with Baltimore County Public School. And we've registered with other local government, even with New York. We've registered with New York as well, and Anne Arundel County, EVA in Virginia, and also so many of them that we have the opportunity to register our business with. However, you have to be diligent in going to look for contract, because sometimes I've had with Emma, even though I'm registered with them, maybe like a week, I've had this happen a couple of times, about a week before the due date, that is when I actually see it in my inbox. So what I do now is twice a week or weekly, I go over to all those sites, those portals, to start looking for business, for opportunities.
Okay, thank you. Somebody was asking what is EMMA, and EMMA stands for eMaryland Marketplace. So if you want to contract with the state of Maryland, that's where you head. Sonia's added read agency strategic plans. That's where they share what they want and need to get better. Again, we have links on the resource page of the PTAC website to help you go right through that. Okay, so we're nearly running out of time. So just a couple of more questions. First one is, how did the PTAC assist you in your journey? Was it through counseling or training? And maybe say a little bit about how that helped each of you.
I do on occasion, probably at least maybe once a year. Well, let me say this. When I'm in trouble, most of us, when we're in trouble, we go back home, right? For help, for support. And for me, when I'm not sure or I'm not clear about something, whatever it might be, I go back home. And to me, home is SBA, and it's the PTAC Center. The resources are free. It's not going to cost me a dime to go and talk to a counselor and find out, if I'm on track, off track, or what I need to do to get back on track. Those are free resources. Take advantage of the free resources that are available to you. We are in the midst right now of transitioning from HIM, Health Information Management, to Health Information Technology. And part of that is working with the upcoming requirements, which we haven't mentioned, no one has mentioned, but if you're going to be a DoD contractor coming up, you're going to have to become what they call cybersecurity certified, the certified maturity model certification, CMMC. And you're going to have to be on the cloud, and you're going to have to be connected to the DoD platform. Otherwise, you're going to be shut out, and you're not going to be inclusive in the contracting process. So PTAC, I'm hoping, and I know they will be able to once I engage, help us with getting our cybersecurity scores in the system, and getting our systems up to date and being prepared for the CMMC certification requirements. And if you haven't looked that up yet, if you're planning to do business with DoD, please stay on top of that, because it's coming, I believe, June of 2023. Is that right, Yasmin?
Yes, it is. And I'd just like to add that we do regular CMMC classes, and we do have a couple of recordings on our YouTube channel as well. I'm going to put the link in the chat box, so thank you for pointing that out. Okay, anybody else want to talk about how the PTAC has assisted them, whether it's working with a counselor, attending a class, or anything about it, just very briefly?
Sure, I can say something. For me, particularly the contract in New York was very, very instrumental. PTAC, my counselor was or is Richard Payton. What he did, he helped me, because I can be shy and introvert sometimes. And he told me, said, you know this stuff. You know your stuff. You've been doing it for years. Just branch out, go to other agencies and look for it. So he actually helped me work on my confidence and boldness. And that was why I was able to step out to go to New York. When I saw that contract in New York, I was like, Richard, it was like, no, go for it. And I did, and here it is. So he has really helped me, encouraged me, and he helped me to update my SBA profile so that I can be available for any prime who is searching for me, and also taught me how I can search for other prospective subcontractors or prime contractors. So PTAC has been very instrumental in the growth and the expansion of my business.
Thank you for those kind words, Anna. I'll be sure to pass them on to Richard as well. We do try, our councillors really do try our best to help businesses. So we're always pleased to hear that it's going well for you. Somebody had briefly asked about proposals. How do you get help with writing proposals? And Sonia responded, we write a lot of our own proposals, and we have learned a lot from working with large partners. Obviously, you know, we do regular proposal writing classes here at the PTAC, and we also have a couple of consultants as well that we can refer to you who do offer proposal writing services. So there are very many avenues for you to do this. So unfortunately, we're coming to the end of this event. So I'd just like to wrap it up and ask each member of the panel to just briefly say just some parting words, some advice that you have for the audience on what to focus on what do you think is really important for them to focus on when they're trying to be successful in government contracting?
My top three, surround yourself with smart people. Don't settle for mediocrity. 2, find yourself a good attorney, a good accountant. Good example is you don't want to hire an attorney that specializes in divorce court, auto accidents. Oh, and by the way, government contracting. You want to find yourself an attorney and an accountant that lives and breathes government contracting, the FARs, the DFARs, 24/7. That's all they do. Join your industry associations and stay ahead of the curve. That's what I have.
Thank you, Brenda. Enno?
I really want to echo what Brenda said. You know, my top 3, like I mentioned, I have a relationship with my banker. And from the time we started the business, from day one, I looked for an accounting, for a payroll company. So I would not have to get in trouble with IRS. Look, have an accountant, have a relationship with your banker, and have an attorney that you trust. And again, you can be transparent with them. Have a mentor, mentor, and always go to your mentor if you have any questions. And whatever your mentor advises you, try to do it as much as possible. Because that's what I did. And again, that brought me out of the box. And I'm able to, even here on this platform today, I wouldn't have done this a year or 2 years ago. So have a mentor.
Of course, echoing what they said, don't stop learning and perfecting your craft. And that means if it's not you, then find people who can do it, because eventually you do need to, as the E-Myth says, work on your business and not just 100% in your business. Before you start paying people, understand what you're paying them for. So if you have an accountant, if someone is your accountant and you're paying them to be an accountant, then understand that that typically means running a lot of your reports, being able to do profit analysis, helping you bid for contracts. That's not bookkeeping. So if someone is doing bookkeeping, you make sure you pay bookkeeping fees for that, because that's not accounting. They're all different. Brenda pointed out about paying your lawyer. The BD, the proposal writing, all of that kind of stuff, make sure you understand it before you start paying people to do it, because there are people who will take your money and then come back and ask you 1,000 questions about what you do. So shoot, you might as well do it yourself. So make sure you understand what it is that you're getting. And when you're not getting what you're paying for, stop paying for it and find somebody else. We don't like to break up with people, but I'm not going to keep paying you to hurt me or hold my business back, because my coin is limited. And so I want to make sure I'm getting it. But that's my 3. Keep learning. Don't pay for it until you understand what you're paying for. And I'm gonna give a shout out to Miss Jennifer Hanks on here as far as the coaching and mentoring. She and her husband have a phenomenal company program they call Fed Propel. And that's the session that I was in this morning. So I'm always learning and learning from great people. So Jennifer, please make sure you drop your information in here for folks. She is phenomenal and she knows this acquisitions process backwards and forward. So.
Thank you. Thank you so much to all our panel. Thank you to our speakers, Diedra and Brenda, Eno, Sonia. Fantastic information, great resources, and just inspiring to hear your stories as well. So really do appreciate it. Again, I just want to reiterate that your PTAC counselor is waiting to assist you so that you, in the future, you can be telling these stories about your $100 million contract. And all you have to do is have a business registered in Maryland that is in good standing. Go to our website, complete and sign the application form. And that's it. Within 15 business days, we assign a counselor to work with you. There is no cost to you as a business, so please take advantage of it. And of course, we're always scheduling more training events for you. So keep your eye out on our training calendar and see what's coming up for 2023. Right now, I'm scheduling classes and events for next year. So we're very excited to bring you some new information. I'm always looking for new instructors and new outreach events with agencies and primes. So thanks again, everybody. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you again soon on a future PTAC webinar. Bye-bye.